Hello, everyone. My name is Ekaterina Kardakova. I'm an opera singer, voice, and public speaking coach. And this is my podcast, The Sound of Success. Today, I have another interesting topic with Marta. She is an executive coach, and we will talk about how you can transform your self doubt into self trust to gain more confidence, visibility, and what kind of techniques can help you with that. Marta, thank you so much for joining me today on this podcast. I'm very looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you, Ekaterina, for the invite. I'm also looking forward.
So, as I said before, the topic is very interesting, and you are an executive coach and you are specializing on different techniques. My first question, how did you end up to be an executive coach? What was your, inner voice or your intention to do that?
Yeah, I think it was my curiosity and my tendency to always challenge the status quo. So I grew up in a very conservative Polish Catholic household, and I was always the questioner of the authority in the family. So I always questioned my father's authority. Why do we have to do it like this? Why can't we do it differently? So this was always my role in the family. Later, I studied political sciences, peace and conflict studies, and body psychotherapy. So I always wanted to understand the depth of not only the human mind, but also how we interact with each other and how we can communicate with each other so that everybody feels more comfortable, respected, and valued in their place. So after my time as a therapist, I went into my corporate path, worked for insurances, worked for venture capitalists, and working as a therapist was cool because there I could work with people, I could change how they think, how they behave, influence their development or guide them through the development. And then when I changed the career path and became a leader myself, I realized that there are a lot of leaders who are not willing to develop or who don't see the necessity to develop. And a lot of conflicts in the workplace arise from that. That people say, hey, I don't feel good with that. And the other person says, I don't care if you feel good or if you don't feel good. But this is not a team mindset. This is not no collaboration. This is fighting against each other. And I was so frustrated by observing that, by observing power plays, dominance at work, people who just don't follow values of living together and working together. So I decided I want to change that and become an executive coach. Of course, I work only with people who decide to change, not with those who don't want to change. But it always starts with us, yeah, because in every day we can influence other people. Every day when we interact with others, we set a certain standard of how we want to be treated, of how we treat others. And this is my way where I realize I have the most impact, working with people one-to-one or with groups.
hmm Very interesting. In many of my or in my previous podcasts with my guests, we often discuss that now we are living in a time of big changes and transformation, and many people decide also in the corporate world, what can I do differently? Many not, as you
Mhm.
say now, as you mentioned now, that some people still don't want to change. They feel comfortable. However, you must change. And there is this, pressure from outside the world. However, when people, for example, what I noticed from my sessions, online sessions for job interviews, presentations, many people, when they even think that I would like to change my path, lose confidence because they think like, oh, am I valuable only because I will start a new job? Or, and this topic of stay confident and seeing your achievements. So often we discuss in my sessions, like people really don't notice. However, you work a lot with mindset and body. Can you tell us how the mindset and body are connected?
Yes, absolutely. So I said before, I studied body psychotherapy, and the philosophy behind every psychosomatic, many foreign words today, psychosomatic medicine is that mind, body, and society are interconnected. So my body reacts to my mind reacts to my body. We know that, yeah? When we had a bad day and we didn't sleep well, then our mind is not having the most brilliant thoughts. Yeah? Or when we think a negative thought about ourselves, oh, I'm not sure if I can do it, then we don't have strength in our body, in our muscles. We feel weaker. But also when we are surrounded by others who respect us, who really listen to us, it has an influence on our being, on our mind, and on our body. We can feel better. You know, this friend which you meet, and after the meeting, you go home and you feel, oh, wow, I feel good. This was a nice coffee chat or lunch, whatever. Yeah. And you have positive thoughts. But also, like we said, people at work who are toxic, they can influence us in a negative way, so we don't see our value. So it's all interconnected. But circling back to what you said, seeing our value when we change maybe jobs or when we change industries, yeah, I think that there's a lot that we can do for ourselves to remember our worth. Yeah? And that our worth is not bound to the judgment of other people, what other people say. If you change job, and of course, at the beginning, you don't know how the processes are. Maybe you have to learn a totally new language of work. I experienced that when I switched from insurance to venture capital, totally different world. We feel a little bit stupid, but does it mean that we are stupid? Of course not. Yeah, we have to remember our track record, where we went through. And for me, this is a topic that I work with when I work with especially female leaders, when we talk about strength and seeing our strengths, to remind ourselves of all the challenges, those micro bottlenecks we went through and what we learned out of that and how we grew through that, because this is where confidence comes from. Confidence comes from being aware of challenges we overcame. Yeah? And this makes us stronger.
Yeah.
And self-esteem, valuing what we have done. This is a training. This is like a daily gym. When you go to the gym and you train your muscles, you train your mind to value yourself every day. And for me, it's replacing negative thoughts with positive thoughts about myself.
Or to have a different inner dialogue, right? It's so interesting because it really I can relate to what you're saying, because at my sessions, I always say people that confidence is actually your experience, but the system always teaches us to focus on not enoughness instead of what I have already done, what I have already achieved, and make it clear in your head and present this. This is all about confidence, self-presentations, value, but you have to know about them. But what would you recommend to people who would like to gain more confidence? How do you do this? Because my audience already watches lots of videos from me and examples which I give. But you, as my colleague, how do you work with confidence in terms of body and mind?
Yeah, yeah. What I think is very important are physical anchors that give us confidence. What do I mean by that? Let's imagine I have a presentation tonight, yeah? And I really have a presentation tonight. So, if I would now stress out about it the whole day before the presentation, yeah? Preparing, over preparing, being very perfectionistic about it. Why do we tend to over prepare or to be perfectionistic? Because we doubt that we are good enough. Yeah, we try to fill this gap inside that maybe it's not good enough. The belief, maybe it's not good enough. And if we break down the belief, the basic belief, or what happens in the mind on the physical level, I would be very hectic the whole day. I would be very tense the whole day. And in my work, I say we can always change that through a top down, from the mind to the body, or bottom up, from the body to the mind approach. So to get more confidence for that presentation that night, surprise, I would start with relaxation. To stop sitting at the desk, go outside, yeah, breathe fresh air, and really let go of your thoughts towards that presentation. You know, this running circles in your mind, but focus on the present moment, on the smell in the air, now it's summer, on the feeling of the wind on your skin, the colors that you see, the sounds that you hear in the city or when you live outside of the city there. And just immerse yourself in this present moment. And what happens at that moment is that your nervous system, it relaxes. You come out of fight or flight into relaxation. And fun fact, in this physical relaxation, your mind is performing at its best. Yeah, because you have a synchronity between left and right hemisphere. Yeah, the body and the mind, or the body and the brain, are communicating constantly, and you have more coherence in your system. Okay, and from that point, this is the feeling I want to have in that evening when I have the presentation. I want to feel so at ease and so relaxed. So I anchor that in my body, this feeling. Yeah. And now comes maybe a preparation part. Visualize what you have to go through. This comes from sport psychology. Ekaterina, I'm sure you know it, but I will mention it anyway. You visualize the presentation that evening, and you visualize yourself being really relaxed and at ease, and everything going out well in the way you want it to. So we stop catastrophizing thinking, yeah, to catastrophize about everything that could go bad. We focus on the positive outcome. And when we see a positive outcome, we relax and we have a loop of reaction inside. Yeah? So this would be one possible approach to gain more confidence through the body
I
for an
already
event in the
hear,
future.
yeah, I already hear how some of my clients would say, yes, of course, I visualize everything. I do everything what you said. I relax my body. But when I come to the stage and I see people watching me, this first thought is what people think about me. And I, you know, immediately hold my breath and I feel this tightness in my throat and I cannot speak. Some people even have blackouts. What to do?
Yeah,
What would you recommend in this situation?
yeah,
This very
yeah,
first moment when person is on stage, yeah, good prepared, but this
yeah.
very first moment is the most important and the most hard moment. What
I
to do?
know, 100%. So for those cases, I really love to apply my toolkit that I learned as a therapist for working with people with trauma. Why? Trauma, when you are in a traumatic reaction, your nervous system gets into a high stress mode, yeah, in this memory of a traumatic event. Your nervous system is in a high stress mode, and the body therapeutic tools for those cases always focus on stabilization through the body, yeah, through the senses, in the present moment, in the here and now. So I apply those for my clients with those situations. First, of course, your heart starts racing because it's exciting to step out and be seen and to be the one where everybody looks at. That's very exciting. Yeah. So first of all, don't fight the excitement. It's okay. Don't fight against it. My heart is beating faster than 5 minutes before. That's okay. But what you can do now is to focus on the weight of your body. So when you're sitting, focus on the connection of your buttocks to the chair, your feet to the ground. When you're standing, focus on the connection of your feet to the ground. Always place both feet on the ground and don't play around with one foot and cross the legs, whatever. Both feet are placed on the ground. And then try to consciously relax your breath. And this is the hardest part because when we have to speak and we are excited, we tend to speed up our voice. Now you're the voice trainer. I'm pretty sure that you teach enough of the breath work elements here. But for me, it's really this. I know how it feels when I relax my nervous system, and I train the steps with my clients before a presentation so that they can relax like this. And then in the presentation, now for the listeners, focus on the weight. Slow down the pace of how you speak. And sometimes you can also invite the audience to relax and relax by that yourself. So this is what I do. Yeah? When I speak to an audience, I often invite them to take 3 deep breaths together. And you know what? Then I relax, yeah, because we take this 3 deep breaths. And of course, you can layer on top a mental information. And the mental information is, I am safe. Everything will work out the way I planned it to be. Positive thought, yeah. I am well. Like you would talk to a good friend. What would you say to a good friend in those situations? And then wait. Give your body a moment to relax, and then it changes.
Yeah, it's very good. So thank you very much for these tips. Yeah, very interesting. So I can really relate what you are saying because I also do with my clients similar exercises, but from my perspective as a professional opera singer, as an actor, because we also in the in acting we have or we learn as professional actors from very beginning. Like imagine when you're on stage, imagine that you're a big tree and you have your legs are long, long, long roots. They're going deep into the
Love
earth, and
it.
you have these
Love it.
branches, and you're giving this beauty of the tree to your audience.
Oh,
You have
nice.
to be very
Nice.
connected with the ground
Yeah,
and with your energy you're giving.
nice.
The same things, just with different words.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you layer an imagination on top. Yeah.
yeah.
The imagination of being this tree. And this humans react to imaginations a lot. Yeah. So it causes a different physical reaction. And then your mind can relax as well and exit fight or flight.
Mm. What
Love
else
that.
would you recommend to people who cannot stop these negative thoughts, which also happens a lot while presentation? Because I very often discuss with my clients, with all of my participants of the trainings, they say, "Oh, I was checking how the audience reacts," and sometimes, there are in the audience some people that are not interested in the topic, or they are busy with their own thoughts. They have their own worries. It has nothing to do with the speaker on stage
Yeah,
very often.
100%.
Yeah, but people, however, when they're on the stage, they're always checking. And, these negative thoughts, they're running and running, running, running. How to
Yeah,
stop and focus on positive impact
yeah, yeah.
and output.
My way always goes through the body first. So in the moment when I am connected to the outside, I have to bring my awareness back to the inside, feel my body from the inside. I can feel my lungs moving, I can feel my heart beating, I can feel my stomach, I can feel my legs, I can feel my arms, I can feel my head. I can feel body parts, but I train with my clients so that they can feel inside certain body parts, inside organs, and receive the signals and interpret the signals in the right way, what they are meant to signal to us. Yeah. Bring your awareness away from the outside back to the inside, because this is what I can control. I cannot control the outside, but I can control my breath, I can control my heart rate, I can control how I feel. This is inside of my control. And bringing it away from the head, which is overthinking, down to the body. Because here, these circles never stop. They just turn higher and faster and more. So you consciously have to bring your attention away from here, down here. This is number one. And second, what I tell my clients, and I think it's true, I heard once the statistics: when you present something in front of an audience, 70% are occupied with themselves. 20% will really like what you said and will resonate with you and have sympathy with you. And 10% would not resonate with you at all and don't like you personally. Yeah? So what a relief when you know that if more than 20% are really listening, I did a pretty good job. Yeah? And to just be aware that most people are just focused on themselves all of the time. So most of them don't really listen anyway. Yeah. But it matters to set our message. And it matters for those 20%. Really, it matters because they will tell others. And then you have a snowball effect and your message spreads. So it's always worth it to go out there and show yourself.
Yes, absolutely. So, as a conclusion at the end, can you give 3 tips to my audience how to gain how to transfer your self-doubt into self-impact?
Oh, yeah. I think we mentioned already a couple of things. First, set a physical anchor to exit your doubtful thoughts. Focus on the body, on the present moment, on the here and now, on your senses. Yeah? Second, grow your positive self-talk. How you talk to a good friend. Be a good friend to yourself in your words, in your thoughts. This is a conscious decision. Yeah? And third, really connect with people. Here we have the environment. Connect with people who see your worth, who appreciate you, who cherish you, who cheerlead to you. And those are your allies and the most important people to bring you to your excellence and to have even more impact than you could have ever imagined.
Yes, thank you very much, Marta. Thank you for joining me today on this podcast, and thank you for your fantastic knowledge and impact. And for those who likes this video, please share it, subscribe to my channel, comment in the comments, or write your opinion about this in the comments. You find all the information about Marta in the description to this video, to this podcast. And yeah, see you in the next video. Marta, thank you very much one more time.
Thank you very much, Ekaterina, for the interview.